My very first experience with music is something that I don't actually remember. But my mom told me that when I was 2 years old, she would sing to me a lullaby, which is a famous lullaby in Scandinavia. And this, the melody of this song would immediately make me cry. And I would be begging her to sing, for her to sing me this song, crying. And so she would try to calm me down by singing the song faster, or change it somehow so it had a lighter mood or a different feel. But it would still just make me cry. And I honestly feel that that overwhelming sentiment, that overwhelming emotion is still what I'm looking for.
Hey guys, I'm Ben Lorentzen at benlorentzen.com, that's where I live. I was looking for sad love songs. So here's one. I just finished touring Germany and I've been writing some new songs and I'm going to play one of them. One of my new songs for you tonight. Oh, my love. It goes like this.
There's a light in your eyes, it says you're leaving. Someone's waiting upstairs to be found. Distance in your touch, whatever which may be. Ain't that much? There's a grief that I know, waving endlessly. Please away to retain crumbs of love. Tie me down to see. Never want to be in your way.
Thank you guys, thank you.
There's a light in your eyes, two embers glowing in the dark of night. There's a light in your eyes, echoes the pain and pleasures of our lives. You turn your face against the wind, and you come each minute into past your screen, and your voice speaks inside my beating heart. Lay down in the dark, lay down in the dark with me.
I was 11 when I wrote my first song, and without knowing it, I think I became an old soul by discovering my creativity. The song, the narrative, the perspective of the song was a person at the end of his life, looking back on his life, and I'm 11 at this time. And I'm not sure why I ended up with that perspective, but that's a narrative, or that's a perspective that has stayed with me all the way up until this time. I was told later by teachers I had at the time when I was 11, 12, 13, that some of them got worried about me because I must have had sort of a gloomy look, a sort of a dark, depressed look about me, the way I behaved, my facial expression, my body language and so forth. So much so that they contacting social services, because I guess I came across too dark or too gloomy for what seemed to be healthy for an 11-year-old kid. But the way I remember it was being literally high, walking around feeling high, because I had discovered this amazing thing that I, out of nothing, could create a song. And that thrill and that high is also something that I'm still looking for.
Take any other way. It is as strange as I wouldn't choose it any other day. Now I can't deny this crazy feeling of me. There's no other way to set me free than to be naked and hopeless and hungry. Came to the other end, took what there is.
So now we're about to make a new record, and I'm thinking that I'm seeking the same overwhelming emotional experience and the same high. But I'm now close to 50 years old, and I'm building with bricks that I know a lot about, and I'm still looking to be surprised in the process, which of course is close to impossible. And to make matters worse, I have released 2 previous records. America is my first solo record. The Pains and Pleasures of Intimacy is my second solo record. And the process of those 2 records were kind of relaxed in that I could take as much time as I wanted to. I could just fool around, invite people into the different sessions and kind of just take my time, and when I felt that the record was finished, I put it out. This time around, I'm gonna go to Germany. I'm gonna collect a group of musicians, and we are going to finish this record in 10 days. That's the goal. Which again is, for me, that is extremely fast, and that puts certain pressures on me. Because I'm going to produce a record, obviously going to sing and play, and I need to be prepared for this album in a different way than I have been before. So we're going to do 10, 11, maybe 12 songs, and going into a situation where I do not know the engineer, I don't know the musicians for the most part, never played with them before. I don't know what's going to come out of this. So it's almost like creating my own dogma rules, where I limit the time and limit myself to a point where I have to. It creates an enormous pressure to make this happen, and I work better under pressure. But as I said earlier, creating something within that time frame that's going to be a thrilling experience, that is kind of setting myself up for failure. And I think that's very interesting. I chose to record in this studio simply because I met Martin Denzin, who ended up playing drums on this record. And he very matter-of-factly said that he had gotten the best drum sound, the best snare sound in this particular studio, and that I absolutely had to go and check it out. So I called up Gregor Hennig, who's one of the managers, one of the owners of the studio, and we scheduled a meeting, and just walking in there, I immediately fell in love with the place. I mean, this used to be an old dance hall, and not much have changed in here except putting in a lot of beautiful vintage gear. And I saw the Telefunken preamp from the 70s, Neumann U47 mics, RCA mics, and AMEK M2000 console from 1978. And of course, a drum sound is important. But I was looking for something more, and so I asked Gregor to play me something that had been recorded in there. And he put on a track by a Swedish artist who had just recorded his vocals and his piano. And 3 seconds into that recording, into that song, my hair stood up. And I knew immediately that this was the perfect room, the perfect gear. And that with the right people, the right ghosts hanging out, and a bit of luck, this could be the environment to make magic happen. All right, so we're starting first day, and we're very unprofessionally arriving too late. But that's how it is. We're starting off today with recording as many songs as possible. I hope to get to 4 or 5 songs today. And we're trying to work out this beautiful room here at Studio Nord here in Bremen, and find the right mic, and find the guitar sound, and then we're gonna do hopefully four out of the tracks that it's just myself and the guitar, and then tomorrow we'll do the band. So this is an interesting approach, because we're kind of giving ourselves a week to do the entire thing, and the meat of the record will be done today and tomorrow, so basically 2 days. And of course that's a particular approach that is a choice, because I hope to get to some kind of a level of energy when there is a restriction of time. When you're up against the clock, you kind of, from the minute you pick up the guitar and go to the vocals, it matters. And it's not a live performance, but I want to get as close to that as possible. So today we're trying to figure out if I'm going to stand in this room and sing with the amp, or if I'm going to be in a different room. It'll be interesting to hear how this room works.
Well, I got on before me, I was driven away.
Should I bring this with me, or yeah?
I was born by the mountain on a green grass plain. Well, I got on before me, I was driven away.
Yep, just keep on.
I was born by the mountain on a green grass plain. Well, I got on before me, I was driven away. I was born by the mountain on a green grass plain. Well, I got on before me, I was driven away.
Yes, 47 is really beautiful.
This one?
I like that one, but this one is yeah, it's got more presence.
Yeah.
I think if you want to listen, you can.
Yeah, let's take a listen to that.
Okay, I think you listen to them one by one.
Yeah.
I think the SM7, the SM7, the Shure doesn't fit. Sounds good, but yeah, your voice sounds good, but not the microphone.
I was born by the mountain on a green grass plain. Well, I got on before me,
That's the ribbon one.
I was driven
Maybe it
away.
works when we put the treble up. It's always the same with the ribbon microphones. We always have to put the treble up.
Okay, here you bring the treble up on the previous one, because I mean it has a beautiful bass area.
Yeah.
Which one? The second to the last.
Denzin.
Ribbon.
Ja.
Yeah.
Machst du nicht oder soll ich hier in?
Achso, ja, mach doch, das geht schnell. Moment.
I was born by the...
That sounds like a record. It sounds like vocals sound usually when they are well recorded, I think. And the ribbon is a bit more special, but what I really like with the Newman is that you hear every detail on your voice, like every little detail, and that's just better than the details are better than the with the ribbon microphone.
I'm more for character than perfection. You know, if the mic's like, if the vocal sound sticks out as, this is kind of different, you know, that's what I'm hoping to get. If it's too high end, too bright, like that's not the right way to go.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why.
The RCA.
Yeah,
In dem Fall.
spricht für Band.
I mean,
yeah.
what you say is a bit more the RC, the ribbon.
You said the sea would be stormy, said a lane would be rough.
Do the A major version. Yeah. It's done. It's done. Yep. Good. Take 5.
I was born by the mountain on a green grass plain. But like I done before me, I was driven away.
Start again. Take 5. Take 5. With this record, I came across this rather peculiar thought that I see a conversation going on between a conscience and a being, and that they have lost their relationship, they have lost their communication, and because of that they are both the king of sorrow. And the songs on the album is the conscience and this being trying to find each other, trying to communicate again. This is a very particular angle, and I'm not sure if I know that anybody else has created a piece of artwork with this particular, from this particular angle. I might be the first one. I might be wrong about that. Take 5. Take 5.
Light falls into darkness. Things will never be the same. You say it takes one to know one, the king of sorrow and pain. The king of sorrow and pain.
Cool, let's check that out.
That's a good one.
That was a good one, yeah.
The king of sorrow and pain.
Leg the boss, Holger.
Is the bass just low in the mix?
I think it's just low on the mix.
Yeah. Just grab.
You want to have it more?
Just have a little more bass.
The king of sorrow and pain.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice. That's a good one. That's a keeper.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's pull up Underneath a Fatherless Sky.
Did we record something yesterday? Or?
No.
No.
So we would have to.
With a blank, it's
Yes.
a blank project.
But we need to pull in the rhythm track from the demo. See, one of the things here is how will we solve the problem of recording this song with the particular musicians, with the room, with the mics, and all of these things have to be stacked and layered, and it all has to kind of work out. And then you can only tell once you're at the end of that process with all the songs. So, but I am thinking about this song as a possible opening track because the backdrop of the story is Jack, the singer, and a girl in a tutu, and I find it very interesting how different cultures throughout human history have had this mythology of a lost paradise, a man and a woman that is being chased out of this paradise, like an Adam and Eve figure. And I see the Jack and the girl in the tutu as almost like an Adam and Eve kind of a story. Of course, in this song it has a more urban feel, so I wanted to put in sort of a rhythmic track that had sort of a machinery feel to it, and I wanted to evoke the image of this couple sort of walking through a desolate town or something like that. It's sort of a Tom Waits-ish type of a landscape, and so that's what I'm attempting to accomplish with this song, and then we'll see how that will work out. So Ben, I'm thinking you do this part. Yeah, and then for the verses, you go the rhythm thing. I'll show you.
Underneath a fatherless sky, throw away my cars by and by.
Is it possible to just get the guitars? Did I send you the guitar stand? Yeah.
Acoustic or
No,
both?
the other one.
The other one only.
Yeah.
So this one?
Yeah. Right, so that's kind of the riff part, and then go to the verse.
Yeah.
Okay. And the pocket
Little.
Yeah.
On every 4 bar, you do a little.
Yeah. I didn't hear the rhythm.
Right.
So, the balloon.
Oh yeah.
The balloon. That's this little bridge
Yeah.
in between the verses.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
This is kind of that was kind of the chorus. This is the little bridge between verses. Yeah. So that's the guitar.
Okay.
Comes from mommy, smells like that. In grayish sleep she heals.
Try the Höfner with a little distortion. Maybe
And
not.
Jack will sing till the morning comes.
Here you start.
With a broken voice, an unknown song for the whole.
We'll all do that one, right? So those are the 3 elements basically. It's the intro section, the verses, and then the little riff thing after the bridge.
Crawl every country, won every faith. 2 hearts and 4-leaf clovers. One by one they bloom too late.
So we meet this couple at the start of the song, and then something changes at the end of the song where it broadens out and it opens up, and you almost get to feel that it's not about Jack the singer and the girl in the tutu, but it's really about humankind. Endlessly walking around in sort of a lost landscape, looking for something, looking for their home, and going back to my particular take on this, looking for their conscience. I'm gonna stay with this until the end. But feel free to noodle, in between that.
Underneath a fatherless sky.
What are you planning to do on top of their
A fatherless sky.
I thought about it like very broken rhythm,
Yeah.
like
Cool.
something like
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Yeah, let's try it. Yeah. I've come to realize that I really like being on tour. I love the feeling of being in one place behind the wheel, and yet at the same time moving forward or moving from one place to another. So anything can happen on tour. We have a highway backup here from hell, and the GPS says we'll be backed up for about an hour, and that might mean that I might lose the gig, which is kind of nerve-wracking, but what can you do? We're kind of stuck here, and we're not getting any alternatives from our GPS friend on the window screen. You can see how backed up we are. So yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so what happened is this. We got into Rudolstadt on time. I turn up at the venue. My schedule says 9 o'clock, and the schedule at the venue says I'm supposed to play at 5 o'clock. Obviously, I have passed my time. There's nothing anybody can do. I've spoken to everybody. Not feeling the greatest right now, to be quite honest. And so what we decided is to turn this into something nice and positive. And we found this beautiful little street here in the Rudolstadt. They say every man must need protection. They say every man must fall. But I swear I've seen my reflection someplace so high above the wall. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. If You Only Knew was written at a time, at some of the most difficult times in my life. I had just gone through a divorce, and I had pretty much lost contact with my 2 kids from that marriage. I have 3 kids altogether. And going through that experience, I wrote this song, and I tried to say that I as a parent, I as a father, I put my kids through this difficult experience. And of course the kids are always the ones most hurt by such an experience. And I put them through this, and I feel horrible about it, but it's kind of too late to say I'm sorry or to ask for forgiveness. But if you only knew how much I still care about you, perhaps maybe you could see me in a different light. And in this narrative on this record, I didn't want the songs to be too personal or just my personal experience. I wanted to try to lift the songs into a more timeless space. So I see this entity of conscience as almost like a parental figure saying the same thing to humanity, like I created this and we've been through hell and then some, but if you only knew how much I would like this to change and get better, how much I care about you, how much I love you, maybe we could see each other in a different light and get back into a different kind of relationship. So that's what I try to say with this song.
I'm sorry, won't do it if there's nothing to it. I'm sorry, won't do it anyhow. Forgive me, won't do it if there's nothing to it. Forgive me, won't do it anyhow. But if you only knew the the way I feel for you. All is clear, all is true. And if you only knew the way that I love you, all is clear, all is true.
I'm gonna record it with just guitar and vocals. Might put on. It's one of those songs where I'm not sure exactly what to do. I might just record it super simple vocal guitar all the way through. Another idea is to sneak in a band sort of halfway through and then let that grow into some kind of a massive explosion. And so I'm going to try that out, and then that. Once you want to do something like that, you have to lean on the on people around you, that they understand what you're trying to say and that they can actually put that into their instruments and create that kind of chaos and desperation that a song like this would need. If that doesn't work, then it's going to be just vocal guitar. I felt that I wanted to use this particular song because it speaks so clearly to what I'm trying to say with the record. It's one of the clearest to from songs where the main character speaks to his own conscience or speaks to the universe and flatly says, "Oh God, I can feel your suffering tonight."
Can we hear that again, just for the
Just for the feeling, of course.
We have a Norwegian expression, musical expression, which is gåsehud på ståpikken.
Okay.
Gåsehud.
Gåsehud.
Gåsehud på ståpikken.
Ståpikken.
Means goosebumps on a hard dick.
Ah, yeah.
You know, so when that happens, that's the moment. That is one of those moments.
So you had that.
Yeah.
Both in one.
Well, I won't tell.
Okay, again for the moment.
Yes.
Or for
The gåshud.
Yeah.
Who's playing? That's you.
And me too. D natural.
D natural. There's something there that doesn't work. What bar was that?
31, 32.
31. Oh, so we are. Let's see. You come in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 6 bars into where you come in. Let me double check that. 6 bars. And so with this song, when it came to me, it had this childlike quality to it. And when I started thinking about this album, it became clear to me pretty early that I wanted to finish this very dense, somber, heavy record on this super bright notes. The feel of the song to me is almost like a mom calling her kids to her lap. It's like an embracive quality. Edvard Munch, the famous Norwegian painter, is best known or well known for paintings like Scream and Madonna, but honestly one of my favorite paintings of his is The Sunrise. And it is this enormous painting, and the sun is coming up and you can see the light beams, and it has a sense of hope. Yeah, it's like a super short break there.
It's not about just the by itself, you know. It's like and back to tone.
Yeah.
Want to hear it again, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do it just like that? Is that possible for you?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Is that possible?
Yeah, if you
I would
want.
love to have 3 or 4 takes of that. It's so breathy, and just put that right up front,
and
compress
then
that a little bit, and then
that's
do
what
the
I
bigger
wanted
one.
to say.
Yeah. Right?
For this version.
Yeah. So we do 4 takes like that, and then 4 takes with, more volume.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be. This is an old Korean folk song that I learned when I was traveling in Korea with my wife. And I picked up this beautiful song that they, when they get together and party like this, they sing this one. And so just watch me, watch out. Maya, no naya, ganyan saja. Turanon panjaginon gun marapis siman.
나는 반짝이는 구원의 빛 시임은 바뀌는 갈리쁜 노래 엄마야 누나야 강변 살짝.
Prior to coming to America in 2009, I was a social worker for 12 years. And I had the chance to work with kids, in particular kids age group 14 to 19, who saw the darker side of life. I wrote this song thinking about some of the girls I met who suffered from self-injury. They would literally cut themselves because the pain they felt inside needed a place to go, and they had no other way to relieve themselves, so to speak, of that inner pain. And so by cutting themselves, it will become something tangible, something physical, something they could actually relate to. That whole dealing with that and with these kids left a deep impression on me.
Let the color come out loud. Knives out, let them know what it's about. Knives out now. If I could scream and shout, all knives out.
I haven't figured this one out. Like, one thing is to just do it straight up and down with a band, but another thought is I was thinking about pulling in some of my love for spaghetti western. And Morricone is a big hero, of course, and what I'm looking for something that has a sort of a rhythmic figure, big strings, a choir, all the stuff that you've heard in earlier Clint Eastwood movies, The Ultimate Loner. So I'm thinking about trying that approach. I don't have any idea if that's going to work or not. So that's going to be both challenging and exciting to get into.
Piercing skin. Let it out, let it sing. Knives out, let the color come out loud. Knives out, let them know what it's about.
When I was working on the lyrics for Right Next to Nothing, this image came to me of two souls talking to each other throughout time. And the song, I felt, lends itself towards being sung by a male and a female voice. And so I met Daisy Chapman while touring in Germany, and I saw her performance, and I really liked her voice and her songs and her personality. And so I asked her if she would like to give it a try, and what she sent back to me was pure gold. I thought, I think she did a fantastic performance on this track, and I was very happy with how our voices blended together. So when it came time to think about making videos for some of these tracks, this idea came up about filming something in my hometown, Årnes, which is an hour north of Oslo, and it's this shire-like, beautiful little town village. And also reach out to Daisy and see if she would like to film something in Bristol, in England, where she lives. And so again, looking at the images, it just blends very naturally and very beautifully, and I think we came up with both a song and a recording and a video that really stands out. I'm very, very happy with it.
Well, I know the sensations of chintzy exhortations that squirms out of passion like a floating apparition, and I had my share. Will I find you here? Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding out what comes down. Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding out what comes down. Will I find you here, right next to nothing, holding out what comes down? Will I find you here, right next to nothing, holding out what comes down?
Daisy Chapman, thank you so much.
And you can spend a lifetime filling your existence with things to kind of escape that hollow, lonely sorrow. But on some level, I think we all feel it to some degree. And we need to get back into communicating with each other in order to progress into something that could be a livable existence. It's a bit like New York City. This is a collection of people from all over the world who came here with a longing, a faith that they could create a new world, a new way of living. And this kind of faith exists inside of us humans. It's deeply ingrained in the human fabric. And I don't think we can rid ourselves of this. But I personally believe that we don't really need religion anymore, and we don't need a dogmatic God anymore. The moral values that most religions teaches, the ever sought after God, would be found inside ourselves once humankind has a, if you like, perfect relationship with our conscience. The culture that grows out of this relationship creates a different world, a better world. And that's what this record is all about. The king of bitter sorrow is us, with no relationship to our conscience, and conscience itself, without us, is a king of bitter sorrow.
Some people say religion contains everything they have despised. Most people seem to find a way to get twice as hard to stay. I search myself for what's right and wrong. Yes, this is a sad song. and I'm a loser, lip pounding through fleeting dispatches, and nothing matches, and I had my share. Will I find you here?
When I'm tied up by loose ends and surrounded by no friends, and life is a shadow that sits by my window, and I had my share. Will I find you here?
Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding up what comes down. Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding up what comes down. One promise failed is a double wrong made, as a hurting is twofold, the aftermath is too cold, and now I had my share. Will I find you here?
I know the sensations of chintzy exhortations that squirms out of passion like a floating apparition, and I had my share. Will I find you here?
Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding up what comes down. Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding up what comes down. Next to nothing, holding up what comes down. Will I find you here? Right next to nothing, holding up what comes down. cards and a story too. It comes from mommy's smiles like dad. In grayish sleep she hears them. And the jack will sing till the morning comes with a broken voice, an unknown sign for those. Crawl every country, won every faith. 2 hearts and 4-leaf clovers. One by one they bloom too late. Tomorrow's train has left them. And the jack will sing till the morning comes with a broken voice, an unknown sign. And the jack will sing till the morning comes with a broken voice, an unknown song for those. Oh, 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 fatherless sky, underneath a fatherless sky, underneath a fatherless sky.